Coming up on this edition of the Goldilocks Zone, we're going to talk instruments. No, not the kind you do surgery with. No, not the kind you measure things with. No, it is the kind you play music with. Musical instruments, the wacky, the whimsical, the fun, and as usual, I'm going to rail on some perfectly normal thing. It's going to be a fun episode. Join us. The Goldilocks Zone is going to start for you right now. You're entering the Goldilocks Zone, episode number 24, recorded September 3rd, 2015. Instrumental to making music. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Goldilocks Zone. I'm Sean Jennings, and I'm joined, as always, by the conductor of this program, standing up on his pulpit, Mr. Matt Mariani.
How are we doing, Mr. Music Man?
The Music Man.
The Music Man leading the band.
We got trouble, my friends. Yes, we've got trouble right here in River City. There's a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. That's about all I know from the Music Man. I'm doing well, Matt. I'm excited to be here. As always, I can't think of a better way to spend my Thursday evening.
Likewise, I'm enjoying this heat wave we're going through. It's also known as the summertime. Very hot. Can't be good for musical instruments. I think that musical instruments don't like the heat or the cold, right? No. They don't really like the extremes of either way.
Especially the wood instruments, right? The wood is going to grow and contract with the moisture.
It's all warped. Yes, warped. I like that word.
It's a very
warped.
Technical term. I like it.
They always say that. Sorry, I couldn't play the right notes. My instrument is warped, and I don't know how to play.
And my dog ate my homework, and yeah. Sounds like
all those excuses, musician excuses.
Well, famous musicians famous for their excuses. Wonderful. Well, thanks everybody, of course, out there for joining us. This is the Goldilocks Zone, in case you've never tuned in before, the show where Matt and I just really talk about whatever the hell we want for about 40 to 50 minutes each week. And we have fun doing it, I think, anyway. And we think you should join us. GoldilocksShow.com is the website. You can also get the audio version at SoundCloud.com/GoldilocksShow. You can also search for us on YouTube. And, of course, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Overcast, Pocket Cast, all the podcast apps. We're probably there. And the link to subscribe and all the links are on the website, GoldilocksShow.com. And, of course, on Twitter at Goldilocks Show. Musical instruments. Matt, very popular the world over. What is your favorite musical instrument, Matt? Why don't we start there? It's a tough question.
It is a tough question.
It's a very tough question.
My favorite musical instrument? I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of partial to the strings. I dabble in the violin myself.
Mm-hmm.
Dabble.
But how does one dabble in violin?
It's a good question. I kind of pick it up and just see whatever works.
See what happens.
I am taking lessons in violin. It's kind of fun every once in a while.
Interesting.
And it's kind of cool. I don't know why I'm throwing books off my desk. I was thinking maybe the answer would be under one of these books for what my favorite musical instrument is.
Do you need a hand, Matt? Do you want me to jump in so you have a minute to think?
No, you know what? I really like the harpsichord.
The harpsichord. Now that is an interesting choice.
Is a very interesting choice. I learned a fun fact doing research for this show, actually, about the harpsichord. So I guess that should be our starting point, right?
Absolutely.
So the harpsichord was actually invented by the same person. Often he goes uncredited, but this is kind of surprising to learn. The harpsichord was invented by the same person who invented the guillotine, right? So the guillotine, with the remember the famous execution device that the curved blade drops down and cuts your head off. That same guy came up, and his name was not Guillotine.
Was it harpsichord?
No, I'll tell you his name in a second, but there was a Dr. Guillotine that they wound up assigning the name to, and he perfected this device. He made it so that it chopped people's heads off even better, because it was his philosophy that No matter what, like whatever class you were a part of, if you committed a crime, you should be punished the same exact way, and that it should be done, I guess, humanely. So it humanely chopped off people's heads famously during the French Revolution. His last name was Guillotine. But the idea for such a device came from the inventor of the harpsichord, and he went by the name of... Oh, come on, Wikipedia, you're letting me down. Andreas Ruckers.
Oh.
He invented it in 1646. Ruckers, of course, was a Dutchman. And, yeah, so he invented this harpsichord, which wound up gaining almost instantaneous popularity. Obviously predated the piano by about 100 years. So it was making piano music. Piano music didn't really originate till the end of like the 18th century. Before then, you had the harpsichord. It was a very, very famous instrument. Obviously, Mozart, Bach, and Handel, they all played the harpsichord. That was where all their music was written. So yeah, the harpsichord to me always had like such a unique sound. I think that very different from any other instrument.
Do you think it's better than the piano? Are you going to put it one above a piano?
Yeah, I'll say it's better than the piano. Sure,
wow.
I think it takes more skill to play just because it's the keys are actually very much smaller than a piano, which is actually a testament to how people were sized back in the 16th or the 17th and the 18th centuries. They were a lot smaller, which is a fact that I like to relay to students all the time. I like to tell them how people like 300, just as early as 300 years ago, were actually sizably smaller in stature than your modern human being. They were the high, like you'd be considered an absolute giant if you were 5'10", 5'11".
Well, yeah,
like,
you go into old houses and all the door frames are like really low.
Yeah, people got really tall. They think it has to do with an increased level of meat in our diet, protein. Maybe I'm sure that good old HGH didn't hurt once we started putting that into the food.
Matt, how tall do you think humans will get?
Oh, I think the sky is the limit, Sean.
Literally, the sky is the limit.
And this is in every literal sense of the word. I think the sky is the limit. I think 300 years from now, maybe we'll be like, the average height will be like 7'5", and then like who knows? Maybe like 2,000 years from now, we'll be like as tall as buildings and skyscrapers. Oh. We'll be able to like traverse oceans. That'd be awesome.
All right. I feel like at some point gravity's got to shut that down.
Like gravity's when you get so tall, all right, no more.
Like your legs have to be so muscly to like keep you from falling over.
Gravity will put an end to that.
Yeah.
Or we'll run out of resources and have to flee the planet. I'm not sure which one will come first.
There you go. Wouldn't you think you'd be really short in space?
Oh, if you were in space?
Yeah, if you like grew from a child into an
adult, you'd be really dead
if
you were in space.
No,
right?
No, in like zero gravity. You know what I mean? Stop that. No, but like I feel like this. We're so off topic. I don't even care. But I'm interested because our bodies are growing against gravity. They have a place. Yeah. They go up. They have a place to go. But I feel like in 0G, you wouldn't grow as tall. I don't know. That's a good question.
I think that they must have tested this out, and that's what I was just trying to look it up real quick. They must have. If I had to guess, I would say like your bones wouldn't be able to expand, right? In zero gravity, I think that you'd probably just stay the same exact height. Like I don't think you'd be able to.
Because don't astronauts come back shorter?
I don't know. Is that a myth? Is that a real thing?
Oh, it could be an urban legend. I know I've read somewhere that they measure, and it's like barely anything, but
like a little bit shorter.
It's like you get muscle atrophy in space because you're not fighting gravity, so there's nothing for you to. This is way off topic. Matt, musical instruments.
I have a theory, Sean. I'm gonna dole out this crazy theory of mine, and then we'll return to musical instruments. But I think getting back, like once you get to the moon, I think that it seriously increases your lifespan. I think that it actually adds years to your life to fly to the moon.
Okay, and I'm dying to hear the reason behind this theory.
Neil Armstrong is still alive.
Yes.
He's quite old at that. I think he's pushing. How old is he? How old is Neil Armstrong?
Oh wait, no, Neil Armstrong's dead, Matt.
Wait a minute.
He is absolutely. Buzz Aldrin is alive.
Okay, maybe I was thinking of Buzz Aldrin.
No, Neil Armstrong is definitely dead.
Did he die? He died recently, right?
No, I don't.
Yes, he died in 2012.
Okay.
That was okay. All right. So, all right, he is dead.
Not that recent, but okay.
But he was 82 when he passed away, which I guess is kind of
average.
Yeah, actually, like the textbook average.
Yeah, it's almost exactly average.
How old is Buzz Aldrin?
He's probably about the same age. Just
I don't know.
Add 3 years.
I thought he was a lot older. It just seemed like in pictures and videos and stuff. I thought that Neil Armstrong was like pushing 92 or something.
I don't think that's.
Would you like to know, Sean, what the first musical instrument played in space is? While we're on the topic of space and coincidentally musical instruments,
it's got to be a guitar, right? Harmonica. I'm gonna say guitar or harmonica.
I'm gonna go ahead and venture a guess. I'm gonna say the piano. I think that it was a recording of a piano, just for some reason.
Oh, wait! You mean like playing of an audio clip or playing of an actual
audio clip? I don't think to date although
they brought a guitar on this. I know there's been.
They brought a guitar. Yeah, there has been a guitar.
That's
if
why
that was the first one. Yeah, I just meant like recording.
Oh, I wouldn't. I don't even know. A keytar. Or one of the guitars with 2 or 3 necks on it.
Well, according to what I've found, actually the first ever musical instrument played in space was actually a trumpet. It was played by Frank,
of course, famous trumpet
Culbertson,
Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong was on the moon. That's right.
That's right. Played his trumpet on the moon.
Yeah, he played the trumpet in 2001 on board the International Space Station.
Wow.
There are pictures of that. As far as I can tell, and this is just after a quick Google search, I think that was the first musical instrument in space. And then, of course, actually, the astronaut who brought his guitar into space, he was a Canadian astronaut.
Yeah, Hadfield?
A lot of people don't know that. Yes.
Yeah, Chris Hadfield. He's cool. Follow him on Twitter. He's fun on Twitter.
Yeah. He sounds like a cool guy to follow on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the harpsichord is a pretty crazy instrument.
It is. It's kind of like a piano.
I'm waiting. I think that they should play the harpsichord in space. I don't know about you. I don't know how they would get one up there.
Now, do you know the difference between a harpsichord and a piano?
The difference between them?
Yes.
Does it have to do with tuning? Tuning frequencies?
Nope.
Does it have to do with the size of the strings What is the difference?
So, in a piano, right, it's the hammers that hit the strings, right?
Yeah.
Now, in a clavichord, the strings are struck by tangents, which I don't know what that means, but they're struck by something else that's not a hammer. In a harpsichord, they're actually plucked by quills.
Oh, cool.
So rather than being hit, they're plucked.
Oh, that's why the sound is so different. I don't know. I prefer the sound of a harpsichord over the piano. I think it's so forgotten about it.
That's what it is, right?
Melodic.
Pianos are everywhere. You're used to hearing a piano. A harpsichord is like a nice surprise.
Exactly. Waiting for some more harpsichord albums to come out.
More rock harpsichord.
Rocksichord.
Rocksichord. That could be the name of your album. Your harpsichord rock album.
Rocksichord.
Rocksichord. Yes, I love it. It's very good.
Sounds great.
Matt, do you know what my favorite instrument is?
I would like to know what your favorite instrument is, Sean the Band Man.
It is the sexiest of instruments.
Ah, you're of course talking about the oboe. That ludicrous oboe. Yes.
No, it's not the oboe. It's like the least sexy instrument.
The didgeridoo.
No, that's barely an instrument. Come on.
What is the instrument you are speaking of?
Here's another clue. It was a mainstay of the 80s.
Oh, that's the synthesizer. No, I don't know if that qualifies as an instrument.
No, it was also a mainstay of the 20s.
Cocaine.
No,
cocaine is really the instrument that has the 20s and the 80s.
Really gets me singing. No.
Again, I'm not sure if that's the instrument. You can maybe say the nose is the instrument, but I would say it's an organ.
You blow it.
Which is actually an instrument, so.
And our one of our presidents famously played it.
Oh boy. I don't know if I should say what I want to say on this show.
Matt, it's the saxophone. The saxophone is my personal favorite.
Oh, okay.
No, I love nothing more than a good rock song with a saxophone solo in the middle for no reason. That's my favorite thing.
Can't beat that.
I love, what is it? Baker Street by who's that? Gary? Is it Gary Rafferty? Can't remember who it. You know that song with the saxophone?
No, I have no idea what you're talking. Oh, is that what that's the name of that song?
Yeah,
okay. That song is great. I love that.
It's really catchy, and they play a saxophone. So anyway,
Sherlock Holmes lived on Baker Street.
He did. Interestingly, maybe the song's about him, or it's unrelated. I don't really know. That's a good question.
Yeah. So yeah, that's okay. Now that I know the name of that song, I'll go ahead and put that on the iPod. But
what other instruments are there to talk about, Matt?
No, I thought we were going to talk more about the saxophone.
Excuse me. I don't really have much more to add beyond that. To be
honest, invented by
Adolphe
Sax, and I did not make that up. That is true.
Well, it's like the sousaphone, right?
I learned that. He invented it fairly recently. Yeah, 1840 is when Adolphe Sax came up with the saxophone invention. His goal was to create a group of instruments that would be the most powerful and vocal of the woodwinds.
Yeah.
So he essentially wanted to just co-opt the woodwind instrument family and just dominate it. And that's what he did, what he strived to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually he decided his design should be most appropriate for military bands and easy transportation. Although you don't really associate saxophone with the military, but brass, I guess. But it's you say like more brass instruments are part of the military. But the saxophone has now obviously gotten it's found its niche in the jazz environment. I happen to be a fan of jazz. I like jazz music. Jazz music is nice, smooth, very nice to listen to, and it's nice music that I would never sit and like just appreciate any other form of music. I think you can really like that jazz festival. It's like a really like true phenomenon. Like you could just sit and enjoy jazz like you would enjoy a fine wine or a great novel.
You're telling me you don't sit and enjoy a fine Miley Cyrus song, right? You don't sit and appreciate it for its raw musical ability?
I would have to go ahead and say no. I generally don't consider that to be music. So to me that sounds like a cacophony of like ear vomit. So so to me that would not be something I would do. I would not sit and enjoy it. I would probably get up and then turn it off.
All right, Matt. I want to try this.
We're gonna play the saxophone.
Yeah, I'm gonna see. Let's see if we can get live on the saxophone in here. Watch as we get taken off of YouTube. All right, and we got to do this, and that is plugged in. All right, let's see, Matt. You're gonna have to tell me if you can hear this. The folks at home will definitely hear it. The question is, will you? Once YouTube starts playing, it's real fun for the folks at home.
Yep, just wait for our YouTube to load. I'm trying to scan to find more history of the saxophone.
You can tell we really do our homework on this show.
I can keep you guys distracted while Sean loads up this song.
Can you hear that?
No, I cannot hear that. Do you want me to like guess the notes? Is that what this game is?
Just the sax, man. Just the sax. Welcome to
WatchMojo.com. Do you want me to
and today we'll be counting
guess
down
what
our
instrument it is? That's kind of a fun
solos
game.
In pop and rock. While the saxophone
How
is
about
most
you sing
commonly
what
used
you
in
sound?
classical
You think a
and
saxophone
jazz music,
would sound
many
like?
pop and rock musicians have adapted the instrument into their sound.
All right. Well, that's not gonna work. All right, never mind. Damn it. I just have no skill or ability here, Matthew. No skill or ability. I'm ashamed with
well, let me know
myself.
what kind of video you were gonna share with us.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
Maybe I'll look it up on my YouTube.
Can you still hear me, Matt?
It's all good.
Matt, can you hear me?
No, now you're coming in very muffled.
Okay. How about now? Do I sound better?
Much better.
Okay. Now if I play and I hit play, again, real fun for the folks at home. Can you hear that?
Yes, I can hear
this
that.
List,
you are a
saxophone solos as
sound wizard, Sean.
Apparently this is
notable for Roger Waters' distinct.
No, this isn't very good. Oh my god, this is like the worst show we've ever done, Matt.
No.
I'm just trying to find a good saxophone solo, and apparently it's really...
This is average at best so far. That sounds like a zoo or something. That's cool.
There you go. A little taste of some sax for you.
Very good.
It's exciting.
The saxophone. I just want to hit the people at home with one more quick saxophone fun fact.
Please do.
All right. Did you guys know that the inventor of the saxophone, Mr.
Ray Saxophone
Sax,
yeah,
as we established before, did you know that he was born in Belgium? He was a Belgian. And that at an early age, he competed in a band contest with his flute and a clarinet. And he was 15 years old, and he won a prize and was able to play at the Royal Conservatory of Brussels.
Wow.
Wow. What an accomplishment. And then, actually, this is kind of a sad fact, and kind of a downer to end on for Mr. Sax. He died in 1894. He was diagnosed in 1853 with lip cancer.
I did not know you could. I did not know you could do that.
He died of lip cancer. I did not know that was a real cancer, and it's actually kind of sad that the inventor of the saxophone
got lip cancer.
Had lip cancer. He died of lip cancer.
It's not good. No.
Wow. So
on that note,
all right,
Matt, what's next? What else you want to talk about?
I have a crazy instrument because I've sort of gained the reputation on this show.
The wacky and crazy guy.
Kind of just taking it off the rails.
Yep.
And the musical instrument that I looked up, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly.
Oh boy.
The Kruth.
Can you spell it?
That's how I would have pronounced it. Yeah, that's the fun part. It's spelled C-R-W-T-H. It's a Welsh instrument.
That can't be right.
Comes to us from Wales. C-R-W-T-H. I think it's pronounced the Kruth. I'm going to try to describe it for the folks at home. It's a yeah, there it is. It's kind of a rectangular instrument, stringed instrument, Looks almost like a mandolin, but much more rectangular, much more like edged, has a lot more edges to it. And you play it with a bow, very similar to how you would play a violin or a viola. Has kind of like an Eastern sound to it, almost like a sitar would.
Well, it sounds very medieval to me.
Yeah, to bow a sitar. It's actually one of the oldest instruments in Europe. Dates back to before the 15th century. It's a very old instrument. It's also the national instrument of Wales.
Like still?
Still, yeah.
Like they remember it? I thought they would have forgotten about it.
Oh no! This is like it actually has like a modern. It's having like a modern revival.
Of course it is. It's very hipster.
Yeah, it's very, very hipster, I was going to say. It's played extensively in like Celtic bands will sometimes have the crwth. The English came over, they decided to anglicize it, and they now call it a crowd. C-R-O-W-D, which, let's be honest, is that already has a definition.
It's not even nearly as good. No.
Yeah, the crwth.
Wow, that's interesting.
If you come across an Englishman, or a Welshman for that matter, and his last name is Crowther, Crowther, or Crowther, then chances are somebody way back on that family tree was a crwth player.
Wow.
And that's how they got the family name. The Scottish names Macwerther and Macwarder, similarly enough, denote that they had some sort of crwth player in their family history.
You know what I like about this instrument, and this is like a very me thing to say, but I like how square it is.
How square it is.
Like, when was the last time you saw an instrument as square as...
And how flat it is.
It's
extremely flat.
It's really like you took a rectangle, you punched out half of it, threw some strings across it, and then you played it. It's like, it's very... I bet it's easy to travel with.
Yes. This instrument, more than any other that I can think of, besides maybe the harmonica, or any instrument you could fit in your pocket, was just, like, built to take with you. It's kind of like built to bring around with you. I could totally see people in like 14th century Wales, like who's walking around with this thing.
Well, and it strikes me as like it looks like the first pass of an instrument. Like this is like the prototype before they built the real one. And they're like, we're gonna make it look much better in the final version. I promise. This is not what it's gonna look like when it's done. And then they just kept it.
This is just the floor model.
Yeah.
The schematic.
And I like that. It's very honest about what it is. It's cool.
Yeah. The crwth. It's a very lively instrument, very mysterious. Like I said, I think it kind of has an Asian feel to it, like in the steppes in Central Asia, they have instruments that are kind of like this one. They have that same sound and that same like look to it.
I'm always amazed at how they can get string instruments to sound so different from one another, because my naive brain would assume you run some strings, it's all going to sound the same. I'm always interested how, to me, just on like a fundamental thought level, this should sound the same as a violin, right? I mean, it's a very similar concept, a bow and strings across a span, but it's pretty neat that that's not the case.
Sounds completely different.
Completely different.
And it all has to do, I mean, again, I'm no expert, but it all has to do with the length of the strings and I guess the
materials used and
material and like the combination of the different strings when you're playing them at the same time is very important.
Yep.
And of course how they're tuned, how they're wrapped around the knobs plays a role too.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to see. I'm trying to find how many strings that instrument has.
I count 5 on this YouTube video. 5 or 6.
That makes sense because I believe the lyre, the ancient Roman instrument, had 5 strings. And this is a clear descendant of that instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a new one for me. I hadn't heard that.
Another fun fact, The Kruth is it gets its name from the medieval Latin word, the name for this instrument, which was the chorus, which I guess then was associated with, the word, the chorus that we know today, like a group of people singing.
Neat.
Or back in, it was used by playwrights to denote like a group of people kind of chiming in.
Once again, Matt, we're educating the people.
What a show! Yeah, we always seem to have some
really doing a service to the nation.
And before researching for this show, I had no idea that this Kruth existed. And now,
I don't think anyone did.
I don't think anybody did outside of Wales.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's cool. That's the Kruth. That's about all that I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
And what instrument do we have for the fine folks at home next?
Well, I don't know, Matt. I could go on a rant about why does the French horn think it's so goddamn fancy over a regular trumpet, but I don't think anyone wants to hear that. Do you have a better thing?
French. That's pretty easy.
No, but it's like, why is it all got to be all fancy and curvy and just, dude, it's a trumpet. Like, it doesn't get simpler than that. Like, you blow in the air and out comes the sound. Like, even a trombone is kind of flashy. Because you're doing the slider thing, and it's like, dude, take it down a notch. Just a couple of buttons. It's not hard.
I don't know. I expect any horn that's French, it's going to call itself the French horn, to be as flashy and as fancy as the French themselves. And
where's the tuba get off? I mean, you're way too impractical, tuba. Like, take it down a notch. Jeez. It's quite silly. No, when it comes to musical instruments, the ones I find interesting are the super absurdly specific percussion type instruments like woodblock and the triangle and all the different chimes and bells, because you don't see them very often, but they're so very specific. Like woodblock, it is literally a block of wood, and I think that's cool. And you can have different blocks of woods that make different sounds. For me, I just kind of like the fundamental simplicity of the concept.
You like keeping it basic.
I like keeping it basic.
It's a good philosophy that basically like anything around you can be a musical instrument. It's it reminds me of Stomp Out Loud. You ever hear of them?
Yep.
Stomp Out Loud. Yeah, they the urban band or something.
Yeah, the dance movement. Yeah, something.
Yeah, they were really big for a while there in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. Not really anymore, but...
Stomp Out Loud. Now, from stomping out loud to playing an instrument that's made entirely out of glass...
Oh my god, what could it be?
You definitely wouldn't want to stomp on it. It's called the glass harmonica, interestingly enough. There's a couple of really interesting things about this instrument that I'd like to get into. First off, the glass harmonica predates what we know as the harmonica by almost 100 years. It was invented in the 18th century by a very, 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 very famous inventor. And in fact, I bet the folks at home could probably guess who invented this if I just gave them one hint. You can play along too if you want, Sean.
Oh, okay. Well, of course, my first guess is going to be Theodore Glass and Stephen Harmonica.
That would be a good guess, but it would also be the wrong guess.
Oh.
The hint I'm going to give you is flying a kite in a lightning storm.
Oh, that would be Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
That would be Benjamin Franklin, and he invented the glass harmonica.
Of course he did.
In 1761.
Of course he did.
He named it the armonica, which is based on the Italian word armonia, meaning harmony. What we know as the harmonica was not invented until 1821, 60 years after this instrument. And that's the glass harmonica.
Oh, look at that. That's cool. That's cool. Go watch a video version, folks listening to the audio, or at least go to YouTube and watch. It's pretty neat to watch him play.
Such a haunting instrument.
Oh, it's very spooky. Very spooky. It sounds like when you take your finger around the rim of wine glasses. You ever do that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what this is. I think it's the same exact concept. It uses friction.
Yes.
The friction between the tips of your fingers on the glass to make that echoey sound.
It's exactly what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I think it's essentially just rotating wine glasses
on
one
motorized,
touches very lightly.
It looks
in a sequential order.
It looks like it was invented by someone of Benjamin Franklin's era.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Matt, this is a bit off topic, but I've got to ask this.
Yes.
Do you think people like Benjamin Franklin invented a lot of stuff because they were smart, or because it was easier to invent stuff back then? Because I feel like, and maybe I'm biased because I live now, but I feel like, Benjamin Franklin, he's got a gazillion patents and he invented all this stuff, and it's like, well, is the idea of a fire department really that great of an idea, or was it just because there weren't a lot of ideas already done that it was low-hanging fruit?
Yeah, I'll tell you the prevailing theory on
Please.
that. And actually, it's not because they're not really so much out of a necessity as it kind of is out of a lack of other things to do. Interestingly enough, I think that back in the era of most of the great inventors that we today recognize as being great inventors, you had a lot of free time, and not necessarily how we would think of free time. You would think of it, if you're working in your workshop with all of these tools around you, all of these pieces of things that could be combined to form larger things, these gears and potential instruments that you can just combine to form something bigger. You're going to get ideas. You're going to start tinkering with things. A lot of people were much more crafty in terms of they were artisans. Nowadays, you have a lot of people that work in different environments with technology. And they can do great things with technology too, but most of the times they then sell those ideas to companies. Although that trend has started sort of going in the opposite direction, because now you have a lot more independent developers of technologies, of uses for technology. But back before all of this, these computers and these internet, all of that, you had people that just kind of sat in their workshops and tinkered because they could afford to, like Ben Franklin, who was independently wealthy, or you had people who worked around things all the time and were essentially experts working with glass, working with copper, working with barrels, working with anything that needed to be fashioned. They could actually fashion it into something.
I couldn't do that.
Different. Well, I figure if you give it enough time, enough practice, a lot of these people also, that's another thing, is that they were trained from birth to do these things. They were raised in this environment. They were brought up in apprenticeships, and they were sort of kind of brought up on this one track. You were going to be a craftsman for the rest of your life. You were going to work with making cannonballs for the rest of your life, or making silverware for the rest of your life. And if you're around that all the time, you're gonna get good at sort of crafting things and coming up with better ways to improve on things. What boggles my mind is the medical advances. I think the medical advances that have been made since just as early as recent as the 1940s have been tremendous. And where they come up with that idea, that just has to be a fundamental founding in science. You have to have a good mind for medicine, for science, for nature.
I would posit, though, see, now my theory around that would be it was a science free-for-all back in those days, right? You didn't have to get patient approval to test something, and you didn't have to get permission from the government to sell something, and you didn't... Also, time was more of the essence back then, where if you got sick, you died. Whereas you get sick and it takes a lot, you have time to... There's no rush, there's no immediacy. I read a story today about how very narrowly the plague came into the United States during World War II. It's a little-known thing. In New York City, a ship from West Africa came into port with rats on it carrying fleas with the plague on it. And it was only because there was such little oversight in the division that was tasked with monitoring the ports that they were able to stop the rats before they left the ship and actually get into the city. It was a very close call, but they didn't have to follow biohazard protocol, and they didn't have to do all these things we have to do today. They were able to just do what they thought was right in the moment, and they ended up saving the city from a potentially serious threat. So that would be my thought. Is it was just, if you wanted to know how something worked in the human body, you just opened up a human body and found out.
Right. That definitely makes sense. I think that there's a lot less regulation. There's a lot less business regulating education.
You did it because you were curious, not because you wanted to patent it and make money.
You kind of had less. It was less of a. Great example. The inventor of the polio vaccine, right?
Salk.
Jonas Salk. He could have patented the invention. Mm-hmm. He could have made millions of dollars selling the invention, this vaccine. But he said, I don't want that. I just want it to get out to as many people as possible, and I want them to become immunized.
Yep.
So, I'm sure he made a pretty penny off of it in the long run, but he got it out to
he did the right thing.
The people that really needed it.
Yep.
And so that was something else too. Nowadays, there's always conspiracy theorists, and I don't know how much of it we all choose to believe, but they say like, they could have cured diabetes years ago, but they make more money selling the treatment for the symptoms than they do for the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, interesting thoughts, Matt. We're out of time. Do you have any closing thoughts on any of the musical instruments we discussed this evening? We spent about 60% of the show talking about musical instruments. I realize that.
We did. We got a majority. That's a majority.
It is.
60% is
more
a
than
majority
half.
In my book.
Yes.
I heard an interesting an interesting quote today, actually, about the word majority, right? It's a quote from Andrew Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in a book I was reading, and a famous quote from Andrew Jackson was, "The man with the loudest voice, though he may be part of the minority, he himself transforms it into the majority."
Wow. That's such a nice sentiment. I like that.
That's right.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I guess in closing, I would have to say that we are the music makers. We are the dreamers of dreams. Though we are the only movers and shakers of the world, it seems.
Wow.
That quote was from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate.
Oh, man. We should do a show about Willy Wonka at some point.
I would love to. There's a lot to get into there.
I do have a lot to say.
A lot of depth.
Didn't we? Oh, well, we did, actually, because we did it in the remakes episode. We talked about Johnny Depp's updated version, so we did talk about it.
We mentioned it, but we could probably have a whole show where we just, talk about it and its implications. It has a lot of implications.
I got to go rewatch that. That's a classic. You lose.
Very much
you
classic.
get
Good day,
nothing.
Sir.
Good day, sir. Good day.
One of the best moments.
Oh, so good. So many.
That was internet gold back in 2006.
Yeah.
Everybody liked that one.
Yeah. It was a meme.
Meme. It was one of the earliest
they're called, yes.
Memes.
Back in the
Memes.
day. Memes. Well, very good. Well, thanks everybody out there for joining us. Hope you had fun this week. We'll be back next week with another topic and more to say. If you want to be part of that, again, GoldilocksShow.com, SoundCloud.com/GoldilocksShow for the audio, and follow us on Twitter @GoldilocksShow as well. if you have feedback or anything you want to tell us or whatever on Twitter. And, of course, we have an email, goldilocksshow@gmail.com, also is another great way to get a hold of us. On behalf of Matt, thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time for more Goldilocks Zone.